time for the Albion Mag Radio Show. Well, a very good morning and warm welcome to the Albion Mag Radio Show here on 1BTN, available online, DAB Digital and 101.4 FM. Dean Kilford here. No Leon Cox today, but do not worry, do not fret, because I've got the... well, I'd like to call him the Mary to our Jesus. It is Dan Tester. Welcome to the show, Dan.
I'm not quite sure what to respond to with that.
You gave birth to the show, is what I'm saying.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Yeah,
if you're a religious man.
But it was also an immaculate conception as well.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Dean. We got Tom with us as well.
What was I saying? Good morning, Tom. Tom Stewart's going to give you the big Albion Mag Radio Show introduction. It's coming on board. Albion fan. How long have you been an Albion fan, Tom?
I'd say since watching a very dull 0-0 draw with Brentford in 1995.
Everyone loves the 0-0 draws to get us involved in. He's on board. So social media is going to be interaction. Anything you want to get involved in the show, Twitter @TAM Radio Show or via our link on North Stand Chat. You can get involved with us on there. Lots of things to talk about in today's show. We'll start by saying we've got our Twitter poll up. It's going to end in about 6 minutes' time, and it's probably the tightest poll we've ever run. It's a simple one. Which victory over Man United gave you the gives you the greatest satisfaction? Gave you the highest feel, the greatest emotive. I'm running out of superlatives here, but basically, which one gave you the greatest pleasure? Tom, how's that looking right now?
It's currently a 51% to last week. 3-2 victory.
So 3-2 last week. Well, it's swung. It's been tight all the way through, but it has swung either way. My vote definitely went to 1-0 last season. Dan?
100% 1-0 last season.
I thought that was the coming of age. That I know theoretically that was the game that sealed our survival, but that was the game that we said, we're now a Premier League team. We can beat anyone.
Well, as I waffled on about at length, I think last time we talked about it, not so much a coming of age, it's what it meant really, what it signified. And all those years of people walking around Brighton in Man United shirts, and all those years of people sitting in pubs shouting at the screen for something they've got no connection with whatsoever, apart from the fact that they have associated glory to it. That was a massive two fingers to all of those people, all of those kids in their shirts. Sorry, but walking around. But anyway, it's over
we've
now.
Had that, right?
It's over. We've beaten them 3 times on the trot in the league at home. So any Man United fan, in inverted commas, that wants to sort of, come back with something, they can't, because we've beaten them 3 times on the trot at home.
Well, I almost included that game, but I wasn't sure how many of our listeners would would either have been able to remember that. I was a year old, so I'd have struggled.
Well, I vaguely remember it, showing my age. But yeah, Peter Ward scored when he was back on loan from Nottingham Forest. We beat Man United 1-0 at the Goldstone. We did obviously get relegated that season, and they obviously beat us in the FA Cup, which we don't like talking about. But we still beat them in the league, and that's 3 times.
There we are. So the vote's still on. You've got after Dan's monologue, you've got about 4 minutes to go.
Wasn't that bad? Come on.
Of course. We're going to talk about last Sunday. How could we not? Also, things we're going to chat about today. Steve Sidwell's retirement. Massive conversation with him and Liam Rosina on the debate show, which I don't often watch on Sky Sports, but that was really interesting about professional footballers' retirement from football and what's left for them. So we'll have a chat about them. Of course, we'll chat about the under-23s, the women's team, and our non-league roundup. But we have to start. Last Sunday, Tom, where did you watch the game?
I was in West Upper, perfectly in line with our penalty spot, to see Pascal Gross come trickle one in. It was. I think whatever Houghton planned for that game was executed perfectly. We just gave them no time on the ball.
That was the thing. We talked about the pressing style last week's show and the week before. That's something that we've been looking to implement in pre-season. Obviously, the Watford game, it didn't materialise. Although, to be fair, Watford went away at Burnley and looked fantastic themselves on Sunday. But for me, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see the difference in performance from week to week, because it was light and day.
Yeah. And you're looking at players like Basuma, Ali J, where are they getting into that team from last week? Because who are you going to drop in favour of them? It's
the big difference. Montoya coming in at right back steadied that, but I also thought this is going to be maybe controversial, that Balogun was a major difference, because him at the heart of the defence, and I'm nothing but praise for Lewis Dunk, but actually there was a I'm not saying that we weren't in control, but there was a few nervy moments. But when he came on the pitch, his experience and his know-how, between him and Montoya, they nullified any attacking possibilities. As soon as the ball came up, they were there. Didn't allow, I can't remember Lukaku touching the ball, apart from the time he missed when Dunk slipped. So I think actually Balogun was the unexpected catalyst of that victory.
Well, we didn't miss Dunk, which is the biggest compliment you can give him, really. One of our key players from the last, however many seasons, out injured, comes in, makes his debut, and we didn't miss him. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Tomori. Was it last season when he came on as sub?
Yeah.
And he hadn't had many minutes in the first team. Well, obviously Balogun's not had any. But yeah, he just fitted in absolutely seamlessly, faultless actually. So yeah, like you say, you didn't notice Dunk being missing, which ordinarily we may have. So that was just a fantastic performance, absolutely superb.
It's hard to pick out one particular. I can't pick out one particular part of the game, because it was, I think, once the first goal went in, because it was kind of one of those things where you're watching and you're like, if Brighton can nick it, if we can nick a goal here, then you might spur the beast or whatever. But it didn't materialise. There was never that fight back. So I know they scored late on to give them a bit more comfortability on the scoreline, but it was a game when you were never worried.
That score absolutely flattered them.
Oh, unbelievably.
Absolutely. If you look at it and you didn't read a match report, you didn't see it, 3-2, you think, oh, right, that was a close game. Brighton probably nicked it. We absolutely destroyed them, let's be honest. They were never in it. They had absolutely no fight, no passion, no guile. And if that was my team, I'd be really angry about that. But then you've only got to watch Man United fan TV, whatever it's called. I don't know if you've seen that.
I try not to watch any of those.
Well, they interviewed about 10 Man United fans, in inverted commas, outside the South Stand.
With half and half scarves?
Well, a few of them had half and half scarves, but guess what all of their accents were? They weren't Mancunian. And they were
that doesn't surprise me.
But the way they talked about us, I can actually see that manifesting to the players, because each, to a man and woman, they all said we should be beating teams like Brighton. That sort of, that logic. And they were one of them called us Poundland, and they were just berating the Albion and basically trying to belittle the Albion. It's like, well, actually focus on your faults, which is basically you've got a team of millionaires who do not care and are not playing for the manager.
Well,
simple as that.
The Pogba himself came out and almost admitted the fact that we thought they just, he didn't exactly say we have to turn up to win, but he said they didn't turn up with the right attitude. That in turn tells its own thing of how they came into the game, and that surely, from a manager's point of view, is...
Yeah, but they thought they'd won before the ball was kicked.
That's what I mean.
That should never ever happen.
Attitude?
That shouldn't even happen if you're playing a Sunday team in the FA Cup third round. It should never, because immediately, if the opposition get a whiff of that, which the Albion clearly did, you're in trouble. It doesn't matter who you are. And from the off, the intensity of our pressing game, I've never seen anything like it. I couldn't believe it. I was actually stunned and very, very pleased, obviously. But Murray, he's 35 in a couple of weeks' time, and I think he's been fitter since he came back from his knee injury he had at Palace. He's fitter than he was the first time he was here. But the way he pressed and harried was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And do you think some of the performance, obviously from the Watford game and the, I hate using the phrase bedwetters, but the bedwetters that turned against the team after one game, was that a bit of a two fingers performance up against them?
I tell you what, right? The reaction to the Watford game, I'm sorry, but I don't even think we should give it any airtime. It was pathetic. It's like, it's one game. There's 37 left. Yes, it may have been a poor performance, but for crying out loud, it's football, it's sport. These things happen. That's what keeps us interested. So to all the bedwetters, I hope your sheets are soaked, because it's just not even worth talking about, mate. Really. But
did the team owe that performance?
No,
because they came out themselves and said that a couple of players came out and said it wasn't good enough. They didn't play as they didn't feel they were ready themselves for the start of the season, which is surprising in its own.
If they came out and said that,
well, not so they weren't ready. I'm putting words in mouths, but they've come out and apologised for such a poor performance where they weren't up to the level that
it's all well and good apologising for a poor performance, but what they did against Manchester United, that puts all of that to, pardon using the word bed again, but it puts it to bed. You know, whatever happened at Watford, it's not even. We don't need to talk about it anymore, because whatever happened at Watford, the way they reacted against Manchester United was just the best answer to any critics on any level. What can you do that's better than that to answer any potential quibbles you may have had with the Watford performance?
So here's the question I'm going to throw now: Is that a one-off? Is that we've raised our game because we've played Man United? No, I don't think it is. I'm just asking a question.
No, it's a fair question.
I think we saw last season that, well, in fact, throughout the whole of Chris Hughton's spell, our ability to bounce back from defeats and disappointing results. And to be honest, I wasn't overly surprised we beat Man United. And going back from last season, we did shock teams. We did go into games where the pundits, media, whatever, was giving us no hope at all. But we did shock teams because we're all right. We're a decent team, and especially at home.
Against all of the top teams, I'd probably take out the last 2 games of the season where it was almost a bit party mode because we were safe. Yeah. But against all of the so-called top 6, even the Chelsea-Liverpool home games, although we look at the scoreline, we were hammered. Yeah. We actually played better than we did games that we did grind out points, and so I think that we do raise our game against the bigger teams, and I just hope that we can sort of keep that level of intensity and play through other games and seasons, so we don't. And I think it'll be a bit different this season because last year it maybe was a bit of a novelty because we're not used to playing these teams every week, whereas this year, second year, we should. We're there now. We're a Premier League team.
Yeah, and we're established, and
That's
think
it.
There's the expectation is raised slightly from last season. I think there's a bit of pressure off us from the media, from fans, etc. Yeah.
So early start of the season, 11th in the table. That'll do.
Yeah.
What's it? You right there, Dan?
Yeah, sorry. 2 games in, mate. 2 games in.
I know. I can only read the stats that are out in front of us. Okay. So, any last thoughts on the Man United game before we move on to other news? No. Oh. Dan, you just got like your ants in your pants. So you're ready to dance around the studio. But sorry. So obviously Steve Sidwell came out this week to retire, to announce his actual retirement from the game. Obviously he's got a coaching role with the club for the youth development under 16s. But he spoke with Liam Rossini on the debate show on Sky Sports, and it was really interesting because it was talking about what footballers do when they retire. And this is talking about high level, they get paid a lot of money, and it said we're not looking for sympathy, but there is no advice. There's no, they're not prepared for it, and they don't have to do anything. A lot of these players, some do obviously, but they've got player liaison officers that literally look after paying council tax bills or whatever it might be that comes up. They've got cleaners that do this. So they haven't actually lived in the real world from being footballers that have come in from 12, 13, 14, come into a squad level where they're hooked up in this club bubble or several club bubbles and not really exposed to the real world because they're kept away from living real life, and then they have to start living once they've retired. I know they've got the money, but they haven't got life experience. And he says it is hard. It's hard for, he's talking about players in general.
What element are you suggesting?
Just living life. So unless they go into a coaching role, which there's not, quite a few do, but quite a lot don't. There was a stat saying that 70% of divorces happen within 18 months of a player retiring.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't wish any ex-footballers any ill whatsoever. Of course I don't. But they are adults. I'm sorry, but what are we supposed to think? It's like they earn an obscene amount of money, which we contribute to, right? For let's say between 10 and 15, some between 15 and 20 years, which will see them into retirement quite easily if they're careful with it, right? So what are we don't get me wrong, I like Steve Sidwell. I like the majority of most ex-Albion players because they've provided me with joy and some anger, but predominantly joy. So I obviously have a certain level of respect for him. But a 35-year-old man should be able to...
he wasn't saying it for himself, by the way. He was saying it as the problem in the game.
Per se, yeah. But a problem, I mean... Yeah, I do appreciate player liaison officers. I think player liaison officers came in because of the language barrier for a lot of players. So they can't... I mean, blimey, I couldn't go to Spain or anywhere other than an English-speaking country. So I get that. But an English-speaking player...
But if you've been from a young boy taken at school, 10, 11, 12 years of age, and you're basically looked after by this family, and not exposed to the real world, never had to fend for yourself, never had to go and do those things that you did at even going to university. For the people that did that, you're still protected in a way.
Well, not. I mean, but you're not.
Well, you
still watch television, and you still, which deals with okay.
I'm just saying that you haven't experienced.
I know, but what it depends. They're not costed that much. Because they still have friends and who are in the real world, and they still have family that are in the real world. And if you come out of professional football at the age of 35 and you don't know how to pay your council tax and stuff, I'm sorry, I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I'm not going to shed any tears. It's like, well, go and find out how to do it then. Go and spend some of the few pennies that you've saved up and go and learn how to do it. Simple as that. It's
I thought this might be your reaction, Dan.
Well, I'm sorry, but what are we supposed to say?
No, it's just an interesting thing.
It's a very interesting
thing. Out, and
it's relevant.
Of course, we want people to have their say. Tweet in at TAM Radio Show. Use our thread on North Stand Chat, which is up and live. Tom will definitely be replying to any of you that do get in touch. He's just looked at me going, "Oh yeah, I'll get that out." So do you feel? It's not about feeling sorry because they weren't asking anyone to feel sorry for them. I know. I'm just sort of being... Because they're quite eloquent speakers as well.
I'm playing devil's advocate, basically. I'm just sort of like the general feeling on that may be, as Tom, I think, was agreeing with me then, it's like, there are elements of life, obviously, which they may not know about, but then that's the whole point of life, isn't it? You go out and learn about them, and it doesn't take long. But
they're starting their journey... Yeah, but 19 years later, potentially.
Not really. I mean...
I think it's probably harder for maybe players at a lower level that don't have the financial rewards of a top-level player.
That's true. But the thing about football is it's so all-consuming. So when you're a professional footballer and you work in football, like I know the Albion's media team, and it is a 24-hour day job.
Yeah.
As soon as you wake up to the minute you go to bed, football. So if you... that element I totally understand. If you go from 20 years of football and then it's gone, that is hard to deal with. It's the same as any job, any profession. Like, you come out the services, it's a similar logic.
Yeah.
So yes, I do certainly have empathy with that, because that's a lot to deal with. But then
I think maybe the other area was the social interaction, because they're not allowed. I know they've got their close friends or whatever, but they're not supposed to not interact normally with the public, so they find it hard to integrate into that normal.
That's only a recent thing, I think, because back in the day with the Albion, players were very, very you
still see now they're on the train, so it can't be a case for all players, but for some,
the bigger clubs with the bigger players with on the bigger wages.
I don't think the size comes into it.
No, but so the Albion's always been, that's the reason the Albion survived, is because it was an open book and people could come in and help if they wanted to. The players would talk to the fans at every opportunity, and that's what a football club should be. It's everyone coming together. Whereas obviously now, football at the top is just, paying loads of money to watch someone walk down a tunnel. Just absolutely rubbish, pathetic rubbish. Hate it. But they are almost like, they're untouchable. Whereas, back in the day, players used to get on the bus with the fans after the game, all those cliches.
Yeah.
But now they're just, and I don't like that, but I suppose that's the nature of the beast.
It is. All right. Well,
beast being the operative word, I think.
We'll leave that one for now. We'll speak about something that's good that happened in the Albion, the community. They're starting their season's work, so their campaign. They're aiming to raise £100,000 over the season this year. They've got a few things going on. Check out the website, fundraising at albioncommunity.org. but I liked a couple of these, so I thought is a Tour de Prem, which is a cycle challenge to every Premier League ground.
Excellent.
I like that one. There's other keep fit things.
How are they doing that? Is that in one consecutively? So they're going to go to all of the grounds.
So I'm not quite sure how that works, but
But
it will be. I mean, that would be that's a lot of cycling.
Newcastle.
Maybe it's a staggered one, or maybe someone from our community can let us know. That would be grand.
Yeah, that'd be great.
They've got their Seagull Santa Dash, obviously at Christmas. It's a virtual challenge. So these are virtual challenges. So this is done on a cycle bike. So you can do it. You can do it over time. There you go. So I read the whole thing and it gives me the answer. So they're aiming to basically supports the clock a combined 10,000 miles between them, which is.
That's a lot.
I think that's doable.
Yeah.
10,000. Right. Average crowd is 20-odd thousand. 26,000. Only needs everyone to do half a mile each and we're there, so that's all right.
Hang on, half a mile each?
Less than half a mile each.
I'm really bad at maths. Yeah.
All right, there's 26,000.
You're all right, okay.
Right, and you need to get 10,000.
Dean is available for private tuition.
So I want to raise £100,000, and they're an awesome charity, and obviously affiliated with the club. And we've had a few of the spokesmen on the show. So
I used to work for them.
And Dan used to work for them. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful entity, AITC. So
we've looked back. Time to look forwards. Huge game later on this evening. 5:30 kickoff. Not our favourite grounds.
Well, I was chatting to my dad about this on the way here this morning, and I was trying to be positive, and then my dad was being realistic, absolutely correctly as well. I just said, we're going to stuff them. But obviously, I don't even know why I said that, because being realistic, I'll be happy with a point, let's be honest. But again, I didn't expect it. Well, I did expect us to beat Man United, because I expect us to beat everyone. But the way we beat Man United, that gives me hope that we can do that to other teams. Liverpool at home, they could beat us 10-0, or it might be a draw. That's how good they are.
Well, it is how good they are.
We used to, sorry, but yes, it is a bogey ground. It didn't used to be. So maybe we can recreate the early 80s cup form. Yeah, bring it back.
Well, the FA Cup has been our solace up at Anfield, which we'll talk about after. Apart from recent times.
The own goal fest, yeah.
And we'll talk about the preview to that, predictions and stats after this tune from our friends at Jalapeno Records. This is Chasing Shadows by Super Soul.
And why am I chasing shadows?
Louder! Louder! Go clap your hands.
Holding on indeed, Chasing Shadows, Super Soul, our friends at Jalapeno Records. You're listening to the Albion Mag Radio Show on 1BTN. Do you think you can get in touch with us at TAM Radio Show on Twitter or via our thread on North Stand Chat? Tom Stewart in the studio is here to answer your queries. Or Dan.
Or the forum on the 1BTN website, which is 1btn.fm/forum.
There you go.
There you go.
So we're just about to get into the Liverpool game before we went to that song. But the result of our poll is in. It's obviously the question for the poll: which victory over United gave us the greatest satisfaction? Was it 1-0 back in April? Was it 3-2 last Sunday? And the result is, Tom.
We having a drum roll or?
If we had one. I mean, you couldn't hear that, but that's all right.
51% to last week's game.
51%.
Enough for a recount?
Well, I mean, if it's good enough for Brexit, it's good enough for our poll. So the majority have spoken.
People have spoken.
Despite all three of us in the studio disagreeing, the people have spoken. 3-2 last night. Do you know what? Fair enough, because as a performance, it was near on perfect, except for the 2 goals we conceded, than you can ask for.
You're absolutely right. Last week, the performance, the game before that, what it meant, all of those years, blah, 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 blah. So last week was purely the performance, which was exceptional. And then the one before was just all those years, as I said before.
Yeah.
You know, and that's so you know, they both obviously have their merits. Basically, beating Manchester United is always going to have its merits. But I think I might have to change my mind.
Well, that's all right. Well, it's too late because the poll's over. So you're like a glory hunter.
Yes, I am officially a glory hunter.
You want to jump onto the
That's
bandwagon?
absolutely right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to buy my. Did you see the survey on replica shirt costs last week?
Oh no, I missed that one.
Oh, £65.
That's ridiculous.
And there's a disparity. There's a £20 gap between. I think Huddersfield's is 45, and funnily enough, it's Man United. £65 for a little bit of cloth that costs less than £2 to make,
and they change 3 times a season,
and
3
people
times
still pay it.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Actually, replica shirts. I like that. But okay, so I'm going to regale you with some stats, which
I love a good stat.
is well, you know, it could be for good reason or not. So obviously, we're travelling to Anfield. Our overall record against Liverpool, we've won 4, drawn 8, lost 15. So actually, 12. You know, we've only lost like 58% of the games we played against them.
Little old Albion, you're gone. Yeah.
But most teams have a bad
that's true.
Liverpool, to be fair. Our last win was at the Goldstone 2-0 in the FA Cup back in 1984.
Right. If you're in front of a computer now, go to YouTube and just watch the second goal in that game. Terry Connor basically scored 2 goals in a minute, and the ball was basically the Liverpool midfield weren't talking to each other, so the ball came through. 2 players thought they were going to go for it. Neither of them got it. The ball was beautiful pass through to Terry Connor, and he took a shot from the edge of the box in front of the North Stand, and he celebrated as he shot, basically, went in the bottom corner, and then the camera, because it was live on ITV, the camera then goes to the North Stand, and it's just a sea of limbs. It's absolutely brilliant. That's my top 5 Albion goals ever.
Brilliant.
Absolutely love that.
How old were you when at that?
I was 10.
10 years old at the time. Well, there you go. And of course, that was the second year in a row we'd knocked them out of the FA Cup, because we knocked them out on the way to Wembley the year before.
Well, sorry, if I could just talk about that very quickly, because Jimmy Kay scored the winner, obviously, and at the end of the game, all the Albion players are in the corner at Anfield with all the Albion fans celebrating. And then Jimmy Melia, obviously an ex-Liverpool player, played for them for 10 years in the 50s and 60s. He's beckoning the Albion fans to run to the Kop. So you can see the Albion players running they don't want to leave the Albion fans in the corner. They're running towards the centre circle. And as they get to the centre circle, you can just hear this cacophony of boos. And Jimmy Melia sort of changes his mind and then runs off the pitch. It's very funny.
So that's the two happy memories.
And we beat him in the league that season.
We did beat them in the league that season, yes. So 3 of our victories came within a year.
And they hadn't lost at home for 4 years in the league, and we beat them 1-0.
There you go. Since then, it's not quite so pleasant pleasant reading.
Yes.
So in the previous 7 games we've played, we have got a draw out of one of those, but they've scored 26 goals in those 7 games.
Blimey.
Yeah. Obviously, last season 4-0 and 5-1, so that's 9 in 2. There was the FA Cup.
Yeah, I was there.
It's
3 own goals.
It's so that's they've started the season obviously not conceding a goal. They beat our friends up the M23 on Monday night. Did you catch any of that game?
I didn't know.
No, that's one of the few games I've missed this season.
I need to refuse to do it.
But there you go. Fair enough. So they've started 2 wins from 2. Obviously, no goals conceded. They dismantled West Ham up at Anfield on the opening Sunday.
When they're good, when they're flowing and fluid, they're an exceptional side to watch.
Do you think they're going to be overconfident? Because
no, I don't.
Everyone's blowing smoke up, because saying this is Liverpool. They're the team. They're going to champ. And actually,
there's always a danger when that happens. They start to believe their own hype.
They're the media darlings.
Yes.
They always
but then there's the misty-eyed romanticism involved with Liverpool, which let's be honest, you've only got to think about what's going to happen today at the Brighton Cop at the King and Queen, which I promise I won't rant about it, but do you know about that? Yeah.
Can I show him another pub?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was the Montpellier Inn round the corner.
Yeah.
All Liverpool flags outside.
See, I'm gonna really keep this brief.
Go on,
I
have your rant.
cannot stand that. Now, I appreciate being in another town and supporting your hometown club, because if I was in any other town, I support Brighton 100%. But when you're playing that hometown, then you should basically have a bit of respect for where you are. So you're in Brighton, and it's all right to have your Liverpool bunting everywhere, and it's like, well, hang on a minute. The rest of the year, fine if you want to do that, but you're playing Brighton today in Liverpool, so why aren't you in Liverpool then? It really annoys me. It really does. I think it's just a total lack of respect and classless.
Is that right? But okay, so I'll swing it around the other way. If they're the Liverpool supporter, they're being true to their club and keeping that with them. They're not forcing anyone to go
Brighton.
But they're not forcing anyone to go into their pub.
But you're publicly displaying it. You're in Brighton.
But they're not forcing you to go in there, are they?
If that happened in Liverpool, if there was a pub in Liverpool, it would be smashed up. And I'm not saying it should be smashed up. I'm not advocating violence at all. What I'm saying is, it's just a lack of respect. I think. And you're right. You're right. You're playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because football's tribal. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe I'm being a bit caveman-like. I just don't like it.
Do you know my favourite thing about the town of Liverpool is that Bill Kenwright, when Liverpool, they've got their merchandise shop and the shopping area is called Liverpool 1, and so Bill Kenwright put his Everton shop in there and called it Everton 2. It's called Everton 2. So
brilliant.
The address reads Everton 2, Liverpool 1.
That's superb. Yeah, that's absolutely superb. Yeah.
So there we are. We'll leave on a happy note. So. Well, except we've got predictions wise. What are you fearing coming into this one?
I'm happy with anything better than a 3-0 loss.
Anything better than a 3-0 loss?
Yeah,
okay,
that's absolutely fine.
In fact,
3-0's they're going to destroy a lot of teams this season, I think, and we might be one of them. We might not, but
I don't. Okay, yeah,
right. I think we're going to nick it. We're going to really frustrate them, and it's going to be 0-0 on about 75 minutes. Yakinbash is going to come on and score in front of the Cop, which will hopefully render the Brighton Cop to tears, and we'll win 1-0.
Win 1-0. I like that.
Yep.
I like that.
But if you're at home and you've got an online betting account, don't put any money on it. But I'm just trying to be positive.
Well, obviously, Mark Lawrenson does his for the BBC.
What, Mark Lawrenson, who didn't play for the Albion for 4 years?
Yeah,
that Mark Lawrenson.
He's gone 3-0 as well.
Really?
Idris, whoever he is.
Idris Elba?
Idris Elba, yeah.
Right, okay.
Has predicted a 3-2 victory. So gone for the goals there. Interesting. For myself, I don't see Liverpool not scoring at least a couple, but I don't think it'll be more than that, because I actually think that depending on if Dunk's fit, I'm not sure if Dunk is actually going to be fit, because I know he had his assessment on his ankle, but I'm not sure whether he's going to be in the squad or whether he's going to be playing. It's gone very quiet on that, so maybe not. But I think with Balogun at the back, I think Montoya's a good calming head. Yeah. I don't see our defence being troubled. I don't think we'll be as elaborate and as pressing, because if we try and press a team that presses, we're so I think it might be 2-0. I'd like to see us nick a goal though, so I'm going to go 2-1.
Would you think about maybe taking Gross out in place for a third central midfielder? Shutting up shop a little bit?
I mean, this is one of those things where my personal point of view is, if you've got a style of play that you like to play, go and play it. But I get the logic that dictates if you're playing a team of a certain... You do adapt your game. However, we're better playing the way that we play football than we are trying to adapt to something to nullify someone else. So I'd say give it a go. If it, what's the worst that can happen? Again.
No, you're absolutely right, actually. If you've got it's not so much having a style of play, but obviously, if you look at the way Leicester played when they won the league, if you play to the best of your component parts and then don't play around with it too much, i.e. tweak it, because, although you can tactically affect games, and obviously you can plan and you can ascertain a weakness on their side and you can play to that, etc., etc., etc. But like you say, if you just play your natural game, which sounds a little bit twee, but
every team does have a style that they play, and
we've got a style which is. But it pains me to say it, because it's a phrase that you shouldn't really use in football. Never say die sort of attitude, which is again not really. It's, at the end of the day, it's football. It's not the be all and end all, but.
But there's a passing style. There's a passing style, and it's wing play, and but which other teams don't use. Them. We utilise It's endeavour,
and it's just never giving up. Which from a supporter's perspective, that's what you want your team to do. And we just don't give up. Man United gave up after the first minute, so 1-0. It's going to be 1-0.
I like it. I like your optimism. Of course, we didn't read Paul Merson's prediction as well, because we always read it, and he also went 3-0.
Yeah. Paul. Yeah.
Right. So that's it. But there's another game. Of course, we've got Tuesday nights. The competition we all love so much, the Carabao League Cup.
We will put a full strength side out. Yeah, Southampton probably will as well.
No, we're not going to put a full... No, absolutely no chance.
I was being very sarcastic.
It's going to be... I know. We're going to put a... this is where...
I think I'm on the bench, actually.
But this is where I think having this big squad of players that we now have, this is a chance to see them.
Yeah, absolutely fair enough. I wish, and I know it's not modern football, and like you say, we have got a big squad, but I would love it if we actually went to try and win the League Cup, because we are in a position to win it. We have a good enough team to win that cup.
Well, this is a question I posed to Leon. Should we be looking for this?
Yeah, because we have never won a cup.
Yep.
Okay, Charity Shield 1910, long time ago, meant a lot more then. But we're now in a position where we could challenge for cups, realistically. And it's not a flight of fancy, we are. So I would love to, but I do appreciate that we've got a lot of players that you've got to keep happy, which is a difficult job.
Yep.
But Houghton is definitely the man to do that job. But I would love it if we just, get into a cup final. At the end of the day, we've been in one cup final and we lost it. And that, and it was just the most amazing thing ever, getting to a cup final. Admittedly, I was a child, obviously. But just to get to a cup final again would be, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Winning?
Well, that's it. But the thing is that when you go back in or go forward 50 years and look back, you don't look at, we finished 15th.
Ask a Coventry fan. Ask a Coventry fan.
Yeah. We had them on.
Yeah, exactly. Joel's dad. Mr. Essex. Yeah, lovely man.
So.
It's all you've got to have little bits of glory, like you say, but we finished 14th, which means we get an extra £2 million. Who gets that then?
Yeah.
We won't see it. Will we get cheaper ticket prices? No. Will we get a free pint? No. Will we get money off pies? No. I want to win stuff.
That's it.
I'm just going to have a swig of my tea.
Go for it. Tom, what does the League Cup mean? What does it mean to you as a supporter? Do you care?
I mean, traditionally, we have not cared about it at all. I think that's kind of from maybe from Gus Poy onwards. Just we've been putting out reserve teams every round, but the League Cup is often won by the team that cares about it the most. So why not? Why not go for it? I mean, we have got a deep enough squad that we could probably just about tolerate a cup run.
We've got a second. If you go through every position in the team, we've got a second player of virtually equal status that can come in from 1 to 11. So we have got a squad of 22 players that feasibly are good enough.
This is the strongest squad we've ever had in our history, bar none.
Yeah.
And except, look at the bench against Man United and how much that cost. It's absolutely bewildering when you think about it and put it into context that the bench against Manchester United was worth more than we'd spent in the 117 years prior to that game.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
So predictions, League Cup predictions. I don't know if prediction. Do you think we'll go through or not? That's
7-2.
7-2
to us.
Why not?
Penalties win, I reckon.
So penalties, obviously no extra time, so it goes straight to penalties.
Yeah.
Also, we mentioned last week that the luck of being drawn in the first ever non-segregated second round draw to be drawn against a Premiership team. Happy days. I think. It's going to be one of the... I'm going to go goal crazy. I think it's going to finish 4-3.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Are we documenting these predictions? Because wouldn't it be great if we did actually win 7-2?
Well,
or to see what the odds are on us winning 7-2.
Speaking of odds, so this is something that really annoyed me, actually. I checked the odds at half-time of the Man United Brighton game. So on. I thought, do you know what? United do have a habit of second half comebacks, and I thought,
they do.
Let's have a little look just to see. They were only 7-1 to win the game. At 3-1 down at half-time, and how badly they'd played. There was only 7-1.
Blimey.
Which
Did you see what it was?
I thought that was an insult.
Well, again, it's going back to what, a lot of, although to be fair to Match of the Day 2, they gave us good coverage and the pundits were very positive about us, which was great because I was thinking it's all going to be about how bad they were as opposed to how good we were. And obviously the possession stats didn't indicate how good we were. I've totally forgotten my point.
There we are. Dan Tester, everyone. Yeah, okay, you've gone. If it comes back to you, let us know. So the under-23s had 2 games Monday night and played last night. Drew both of them 1-1 away at Arsenal and away at Tottenham. So that's played Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham are under-23s and 3 draws. Happy days for them. Connolly scored a late equaliser against Arsenal. He was impressive. I saw him play against... He's one of the under-18s, actually, so he's stepped up.
The Irish lad?
Yeah, that's good. Very good. And then last night, Gyökeres, I think that's how you pronounce it, he scored the goal in the first half. And then we survived a little bit of an onslaught in the second half, but came away with a 1-1 draw. They're playing... We're playing at home to Man City on Friday against, obviously, at the Broadfield Stadium. So... under 23s, but the interesting thing about the Arsenal game was Johan Baksh played, as did, if I get my notes back up, he played all 90 minutes, and Locadia, Kyle and Steele all played. So they got some very useful minutes under the belt.
And Locadia needs to get fit, doesn't he? We need him fit and ready because he's come in, we spent a lot of money on him, and he's kind of never been fit since we've signed him.
We signed him with an injury, which is very unusual for this team that turned down a lot of signings last year.
Yeah.
Well, it's very unlike us. I mean, with the recruitment team being as utterly
diligent and
professional as they are, which are, they've played a massive part in our success. So big credit to all of them. I can't name them all because I don't know them all, but they've been. It's just the players we've signed. I mean, Gross. I mean, blimey. How much is he worth now? All right, okay, he's not started the season particularly well compared to what he was like last season, if you want to make a comparison. But yeah, our recruitment team is absolutely brilliant. But Locadia, 3 goals in 3 games when he joined?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was maybe an indication of getting our hopes up a bit too much. But
I think he's obviously...
Give him time.
He's got the potential. I think, it's one of those things where... Let's get him fit and see what happens. But obviously, Hank, I can't say that by name. He played all 90 minutes. Does that indicate he's likely to be? He's closest out of these signings to coming into the team. I'd imagine.
Sure. I mean, he's obviously massive signing with a lot of kind of media attention at the time. There wasn't any real reports of him being unfit, wasn't there? It's just more he's just had an interrupted pre-season and
because he'd obviously finished the World Cup, joined the club. So it'd be good to see him coming in and see if he gets it. I'd imagine he'll start against Southampton. I don't think he'll play tomorrow.
Surely,
today, sorry.
Yeah.
Right, so going on to the women's team. They lost 3-1 away at Chelsea in the Continental Cup, which... Chelsea won the double last year. They're a good, the best team in British football. Hope Powell was very proud of the players. Saw a massive improvement in the team from the last. They played each other in November at Lancing in the same competition. They played Tottenham away on Sunday in the same competition. The season tickets you can still get only £45. I can't believe how cheap the season tickets are. £45 for the season for the women's one for adults. Under 10s £10, under 18s £30, and under 21s or over 65s £35. So the football's good. It's going to be a good season. It'll be an interesting season. The women's team.
That's exceptional value.
It's
That's
brilliant
really
value.
good. Yeah. Something for the family. If you're priced out of Premier League football, I'm not talking about the Albion in this. But that is definitely worth paying. Definitely.
Absolutely. So you haven't heard this yet, have you, in the studio? But it's time for... Oh, yes. You got a preview of this earlier. It's the non-league time. We'll start with the Bostik League. Worthing made it 3 out of 3 as they won 2-0 away at Harlow Town. They're the only team with a 100% record and currently sit top of the table. Whitehawk remain also unbeaten with a 1-1 draw at Potters Bar Town. Bognor Regis Town up to second in that league with a 3-0 win at home to Bishop Stortford. They've scored 8 goals in their first 3 games. You're confused. Why are you confused then? Who knows what's going on? Lewis got their first win of the season. They won 2-1 at Dorking Wanderers, but Burgess Hill Town are struggling, suffering another loss, going down 1-0 to Tonbridge Angels. Games to watch today if you're out and about. Whitehawk at home to Wingate and Finchley. Burgess Hill Town at home to Enfield Town. Got to do a big shout out to our teams in the FA Cup. It's the preliminary round proper.
So hang on, is this the fourth qualifier?
This is the second. Well, they've had the pre-preliminary. This is the preliminary round of the FA Cup. Yeah.
Right, okay.
So, Lancing are away at Greenwich Borough, Shoreham away at Walton Casual, Saltdean United at Whiteleaf, and Horsham are at Carshalton Athletic. A big good luck to all of our Sussex teams. Games to watch on Monday. Obviously, it's bank holiday. If you're about, loads of our teams, loads of good derbies. What a great afternoon this will be. Worthing at home to Burgess Hill Town. Whitehawk host Margate. Lewis versus Bognor Regis Town. That'll be good. Shoreham v Lancing. Peacehaven and Telscombe versus Eastbourne United. And Horsham versus Haywards Heath. It's Derby City.
The choice, basically, put some numbers on a bit of paper, put it in a sock.
Or whichever one you're closest to. Just go and support them.
You can do that, all right, mate. Yeah, sorry. That's the easiest
But
thing.
either way, non-league football, honestly, it's, I'm maybe biased because I cover it a lot, but it's entertaining. And,
it is entertaining.
And you can have a beer whilst you're watching the games.
And the standard is significantly better than you'd expect. If you think of like the old days of the pitches just being mud baths and hoofing it up to the big man up the front, it's not like that anymore.
Absolutely not. And of course, there's a new way to watch non-league football here in Sussex. The Sussex Football Show on YouTube. It's going to be slightly delayed this week.
Shameless plug.
Because we want to get the Monday games in as well. So we'll put it out on Tuesday nights. Watch the best of the goals from the
Where is that again?
YouTube.
Where can we find it?
The Sussex Football Show. Just Google, search Sussex Football Show. It comes up. #1 hit.
Brilliant.
There we are. With that, we stop the non-league pad. Any other business? I want to give a shout out, actually. I know we're a football show, but a big shout out to Sussex Sharks for winning at Durham yesterday to get to finals day of the T20. You don't look very interested in cricket, Dan?
No, I'm not interested in cricket in the
That's
slightest.
all right.
No, I've tried, and I have been to Sussex many times, and I try each year to get into it because it's I know it's a wonderful sport, and I know so many people that are into it, and I'd quite like to join in their conversations as if I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. I really don't.
That's fair enough.
I don't know anything about the England team. I barely know the rules.
Don't worry about that. Just Sussex Sharks are through to the final
Sussex,
stage.
yeah.
So semi-finals, finals
All
in
my
one day.
Albion mates from West Upper were talking about it on our WhatsApp group last night, and I was just reading it, and it might as well have been in Welsh, which I do speak a little bit. But
Fair enough.
But congratulations to the
Well done.
Sharks.
So, any other business? Obviously, a big week of sport ahead. You'll be there on Tuesday night?
Yes, I'll be there on Tuesday night. No, I'm not going.
You're not going?
No.
No,
busy.
So the League Cup doesn't mean as much as you
No,
say.
it's the thing, like we were saying, but you sort of look at it, if the Albion put out a full strength side and they sort of outwardly looked like they were going for it, then maybe I'd be more inclined to go. But the tickets are cheap, so fair play, you know, that's a good thing to do. So if you can't get on the Premier League waiting list, the season ticket waiting list or whatnot, then obviously it's a good opportunity to go and see the side play. I might go. I might just go last minute.
Who knows? Obviously, Tom, you've got a little one, so evening football is out for you.
No chance. Absolutely no chance.
How's your first day of duty on the show been?
I loved it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Good.
Love it.
Anything you'd like to leave the millions of listeners with?
Just have a good day. Enjoy the game later.
Yep. Enjoy the day
what
later.
It's on some sort of TV.
Is it BT?
BT.
Moving forward, Tom will be joining us most weeks, and we've also got someone else who will be joining us doing a social media. So while we're on air, if you've got anything to say or a topic you'd like us to discuss or just some input, feel free to join us on NSC, northstandchat.com, and obviously Twitter as well. Dean's squinting over there. You're right, Dean.
I was just reading. I thought it was a message, but
up the Reds. That's quite an interest. Bearing in
it
mind,
is, but it's too early in the morning to read out the content written within that tweet.
Because obviously it's got language that we can't say. But it's a very, very good point, though. Liverpool and its history. It's a very, very good point.
Yes. If you want to read that, go onto our Twitter page at TAM Radio Show,
because we liked it, so that you can see what we've liked. But yeah, it's a good point.
Well, it's that time where we're going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, get in touch. Twitter at TM Radio Show. Our thread on North Stand Chats. I've been Dean Kilford, Dan Tester, Tom Stewart. We'll leave you with our song from our friends at Jalapeno Records. This is the Allergies with "Run It Back."
Yep. Come on. So let me ask, can we take a trip in the past? I really want to know what we've been letting slip in the cracks, so we can learn, not return to the same mistakes and avoid another night we'll be laying awake. In effect, begin to step by saying the truth and correct things that when we do, so we'll be on track in the end, get in the wind and not up in the trap. Now let me begin. I knew a guy who was nothing but game, but convinced the whole world he was really a brain. Distributing disease, he sold on bad credit in the South, but he can't control the pandemic. But he refused to cop to the fault. In fact, he doubled down and he promised it all, so we borrowed and he begged and he goes into red, but he can't pay the toll, so they broke in his leg. Consider the cost, admit when you lost. The deeper the river you cross, the bigger the loss. Figure that when you're giving your word and bring it back, hey, you can't get that back. Pretending to be someone you're not, man, stop. You know you're gonna get caught. You got to run it back. 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 Spending money that you're gonna regret, get wet, cause you're drowning in debt. You got to run it back. 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 Now forgive me if I condescend, man, I really only want to get along in the end, and I'm just trying my best to restore some order, so I run it back like a court reporter. Before a fall, there's usually pride, and when egos drive, they zoom and collide, which brings to mind a guy we all know and a lie that he told some time ago. So the chairman ran a 5-year plan, but it wouldn't work cause it was a bad program. Over 20 mil killed with a famine in the land, but even a minute, man, that's what vanity demand. I'll call it vanity, humanity demand, blame it on another man. Hey, sanity be damned, mankind went to war with the shot, and the fight didn't stop till the A-bomb landed in Japan. Check history and respect what you read about men and conceit what we're destined to be. If you don't take precautions, know when your options, soon you'll be lost and stupidly watching, thinking you got nothing to learn.